Every day in the news, we hear about the courts, people appearing before a judge, being sentenced or case dismissed, even tenants and landlords in court. But do you know how the court operates and what goes on in the court system? Housing Court Judge Norma Jennings will be my guest in under a minute to begin talking about that. Also in this program, Dhwani Vinod, a physical therapist here in Brooklyn, will tell you why physical therapy is so very important. The court, that dreaded 5-letter word, that's so dreaded for so many people. Judge Norma Jennings, welcome to Brooklyn 45.
Thank you so much for having me.
Most of our population have no idea how the court system works. I'm asking you as my first question to tell us.
Well, I mean, we have so many courts in New York City. We have criminal court, of course, family court, civil court, and within civil court, you have housing court. So I am a housing court judge. I'm on the supervising New York County Housing Court, but I was in Brooklyn Housing Court as a court attorney for almost 18 years. So housing court is different from all the courts. It's a court that is extremely busy every day. Each borough has a very different, is different. But Brooklyn is unique because it's one of the few courts that has, it's an office building. It's not really a courthouse, and it's there that, you know, the judges and the litigants kind of mingle. There's not a separate entrance for the judges to go through. Everyone is on the same elevator. So housing court in Brooklyn is very different. But again, it's a very busy courthouse every day. There's so many cases that's being heard.
New York has a very busy court system, New York City in particular. How does our court compare to other courts in other cities?
Well, for instance, in most states, the Supreme Court is the highest court. In New York, it is not. It's the Court of Appeals. So we have in New York, we have the Court of Appeals, which is the highest court. Then within that, we have different divisions, the appellate division. We have different departments in the state. And then we have the appellate term under that. And then we have our trial courts, which is criminal court, civil court. And then again, like I said, within civil court is housing court. So New York is different because most people think Supreme, but I mean, but Supreme here in New York is not the highest court. It's sort of the middle court. It's after civil, you go to Supreme. So you have housing, within housing, I mean, civil is housing, and then from civil, you go Supreme, and then you go to the appellate term, appellate division, and then the Court of Appeals. So we always, you know, in New York, we have to do things differently. So we're very unique in that.
You answered my question. Explain what it means to go to trial or not go to trial.
Okay,
is it more beneficial for a case to go to trial?
Well, in housing court, you have non-payment proceedings, which is tenants are being sued for rent, and you also have holdover proceedings, which is the landlord is bringing you to court to basically get the apartment back. If you're a rent stabilized tenant, the landlord can bring you to court for different reasons. A lot of times it's because the tenants don't sign their renewal lease. The others is that the landlord's alleging that the person is causing a nuisance or someone in their family is causing a nuisance. And in non-payment proceedings, a lot of times the tenants are raising issues of conditions, which will entitle them to an abatement. Sometimes landlords don't want to do it, so it's beneficial to go to trial because then the judge will determine the amount of an abatement, if any. So at points, it is beneficial to go to trial.
Housing is a big issue in New York City with constant challenges between tenants and landlords. What would you say is the biggest contributing factor to this?
The conditions of people's apartment. I think a lot of times people do withhold their rent because there are conditions in their apartment and they're not satisfied and they believe that the landlord is not doing the repairs. So they think that's the best way for them to get the landlord to kind of pay attention. But there's also other ways that you can do that as well. And I explained that to the tenants. You don't have to withhold the rent. You can always sue the landlord yourself because there you have conditions in the apartment. That's called an HP action. That's a housing part where HPD will come out and inspect the apartment, and there will be a report if there's violations. They'll be reported, and then the landlord has to do those repairs. So sometimes when you explain to people, I always tell them, even in my cases, you can go ahead and have the repairs done, but if in the future there's an issue, you can always do an HP action or start a case yourself.
What is the process of notifying a tenant when to begin proceedings?
Well, you have to serve them with a notice of petition and petition. So you have to, what happens is the landlord will say, I guess, that you don't pay the rent, so they'll start a case against you. That's the notice. First, they have to send a 14-day rent demand. And you have 14 days from that demand when served to pay that monies. If you don't pay the monies, then the landlord will go ahead and start the proceeding. And that's a notice of petition and petition. So they have to attempt to serve you personally. If they can't serve you personally, then they will do what's called a conspicuous place service, which is they'll put it on the door. And that's how they institute. So what happens then is then you have 10 days to go down to the courthouse after you receive it to file an answer. And then after you file an answer, you get a court date. And on that answer, I always tell people, check off what you is. Unfortunately, it's a checkbox, more of a checkbox than anything else. But if you have defenses to the proceeding, make sure you check off the boxes that you think of apply, and then write in if you think you have a counterclaim for something that happened in your apartment, or there's a condition that you believe you're entitled to monies for. Make sure you put that in as well. Property damage, litigants always think we can give money for property damage. We can't do that. We don't have the jurisdiction to do that. So then they would have to file a claim in small claims court.
I've heard of tenants who believe that they have been duped with non-authentic documents regarding eviction. What should they look out for as a tenant?
Well, always the seal, for a marshal's notice, always the information is sealed for the marshal, and the badge numbers for them. The court, as far as court papers always have the address of the court on them. So it has the attorney's office, but it also has the address of the court. So, and it will have an index number on there, because when you go down, you have to have that index number in order to answer your case. So those are things that you should look for. What's happening as far as the duping is many cases is where people are coming in and for small landlords and have them transfer the deed over to them, and they have no knowledge that they're really signing that transfer. So I know that Attorney General James is, a big advocate for and working on that to try to help eradicate that people are coming in into small landlords and basically taking the houses without their knowledge.
There are some courts that require parties to have representation, and there are others that do not. Which ones do not require representation?
Well, when we say require representation, like when they're appointed, like in criminal court, they appoint attorneys. In housing court, we don't appoint attorneys, but there is what's called the right to counsel that passed. The city council passed a couple of years ago when Mayor de Blasio was in office, where legal services, the idea was for everyone in housing court to have representation. Unfortunately, that's not happening because there are so many people who are in housing court, and there is there's just not enough legal services staff in order to do that. We don't have an ATB panel like family court. In family court, you have ATB panel where there are attorneys who work, and you can assign them. The judge can assign them from the panel. We don't have that in housing court. So we have the right to counsel to try to help that. But like I said, there's just too many cases and not enough attorneys.
So if a tenant has to go to court as a defendant or as a claimant, what is the best advice for a good, effective outcome for the tenant?
Well, for the tenant, we call them respondents, and housing court is petitioner and respondent. The landlord is the petitioner, the tenant's the respondent. I always tell our tenants, you have every right to speak to the judge. What happens in housing court many times is when people come in, it's just such a large calendar, the landlord's attorney will come in, say, can I speak to you outside? And you'll go outside and you'll speak to the landlord's attorney, but you always have a right to conference the case with the court, right? The judge has a court attorney. You have every right to go speak to the court attorney, and no one can ever tell you that you can't speak to the judge. So I always tell people you have a right to speak to the judge. Sometimes a lot of people are going to work. They're on, they're in a hurry. I always say slow down, because you want to make sure that you get in everything that you want. And you want to make sure that you understand what you're signing and entering so you can fulfill it later on. Because if you don't, then that could be more problems later on than just taking taking the time to sit there. But I always tell people you have a right to speak to the judge. Always speak to the court attorney, always speak to the judge.
Landlords are often taking tenants to court for non-payment. What measures do you think should be put in place to minimize these landlords taking tenants to court?
Well, I don't think we can do anything to kind of minimize it. I think if, the tenants, court is trying to put in programs that where when tenants do come to court, if they need funds to help them pay the rent, that those services are in place in the courthouse, that they can help them out. Like, for instance, in Brooklyn, they have, in every borough, we have the HRA office, right? The human resources that can help people get funds to help pay their rent. And I think that's what we try to do, is more and more trying to streamline people so they can go in and get the assistance to help satisfy the arrear, so they don't have to keep, come back to court. Because one court case can be more than 10, 11 appearances sometimes. So there's multiple appearances when people come in, because one, you come in, if you do, say, for instance, you enter an agreement, you don't fulfill that agreement, then they'll bring you back to court again. And then at that point, they will get a judgment in the warrant. So if you don't fulfill that agreement, then you'll get a marshal's notice. So then it's orders to show cause. So it can go on for a while. So these services we try to put in place early on. Like in Brooklyn, they do it the first time on that the tenant is in, so they can go speak to someone and try to get assistance so they can resolve the case.
You are currently a supervising judge in New York City Housing Court. Talk to us about that, and what does that entail?
Okay, so, and being a supervising judge is you supervise the judges that are there. So I have 10 judges in Manhattan to make sure that the calendars move smoothly, that there's coverage when they're out, there's coverage with the court attorneys as well. I supervise the court attorneys as well, and work with the chief clerk of the county to make sure that basically the courthouse runs smoothly. So we make sure that the clerks, everyone is covered. If judges are not in, I'll cover their part, but just to move people around and move cases around, and make sure that the judges have what they need, and to make sure that the right to counsel program is running smoothly in New York County. Like I said, we would love to have more legal services that can cover more people and for them to have representation. But right now it just doesn't work out that way, because it's just too many people and there's not enough legal services.
Mm-hmm. That's you as a housing court judge. Now you're running for the civil court.
Yes.
How different is this compared to what you do?
Well, civil court would be very different, because it would be cases that's under 50. We have small claims cases. You have no fault cases. You do have commercial landlord tenant, but it would be completely different. It's not landlord tenant. It's not just, the focus is not on landlord tenant. It's just so many different areas, which I enjoy, and I would love, I look forward to the challenge. You are looking forward to it. Yes, I am. I mean, I've done housing a long time, but I think that, I've done what I've wanted to do in housing. And I still want to do public service. I've been in public service my entire career and I want to continue to do that. But I think it's time at this point for me to move on. And I think I've left New York County, I can say, in I think pretty good shape.
Well, we offer you our congratulations.
Thank you.
I didn't say good luck, but
Thank you.
But congratulations, and we wish you success.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we want to thank you for being our guest here on Brooklyn 45.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Physical therapy, so essential for people suffering from chronic pain and others recovering from injuries and accidents. Dhwani Vinod is a physical therapist here in Brooklyn, and we're going to be talking about how important physical therapy is for your health. Dhwani, welcome to Brooklyn 45.
Thank you so much.
Let's begin by talking about the importance, because a lot of people hear about physical therapy and some people say, I don't need it, when there are others who do need it. So how important is physical therapy for people?
So physical therapy is a type of treatment that helps people recover from injury without surgery. So it's really, really important. A lot of people think it's just when you have pain, we should go for physical therapy, and that's the extent of it. So it's not same as the gym exercises which you do. It's more of the tools and equipments and strengthening which we do, which reduces the pain, and you can go back to your daily activity or even recovery from sports. So basically, it's so important that whenever you start experiencing some pain or whenever you have an injury, you don't wait for it to completely go away and then go and consult a physical therapist, but you should do that at the start of it so that you get the most benefit. When usually people come to us, it's the end of the stage when, they cannot walk and it's the end, then they cannot go to the toilet or bathroom. So that's the end. We cannot do much more than that. But the fact is, you should try physical therapy when you're having a little bit pain or when you're experiencing like a more sedentary lifestyle. Honestly, when you're like sitting for a longer period of time, you have a work which it's like long sitting time. If you're long standing time, something like that, you should at least consult a physical therapist so that we can do modifications and you don't face the problems in future.
What are the types of rehabilitation that you do?
So basically, we have different types of physical therapies. So we have neurophysical therapy, orthopedic physical therapy, pediatric. We have various types of rehabilitations. So mostly people need is orthopedic, like me and you. We need orthopedic physical therapy. We don't have any neurological conditions. So in rehabilitation, what we do is we strengthen, we stretch the muscles, and we give you tools and equipments to do it at home as well, so that your muscles and bones are so strong that they don't give you pain in future. So it depends on your condition, basically, what type of physical therapy do you need?
You said whatever types of physical therapy you need, but what about people who are in good health? Should they be taking physical therapy as a precautionary matter?
Yeah, they should. Actually, they should. So that's what it is. Whenever you start physical therapy at younger stage, or rather put it, when you're experiencing something like that you are not working out or you're not having a walk or something, you're just sitting for a longer time. So yeah, people should consult physical therapy that time, because at the end we cannot do much, but when you come to us when it's that stage, we can do a lot of it. We can actually go for proprioception, agility training, much more. And for us, it's actually easy to train for the stage 1 rather than stage 4. So we should start it at the early stage so that prevention is better than cure. So we all say it, but we don't actually do it.
I understand that it helps with weight loss as well.
Well, yes, it helps to it helps weight loss, but moreover, we focus on their strength and muscles, and rather than range of motion activities, we do go for weight losses, but it's moreover mixed with nutrition, and we consult both. So like nutritionists help in their weight management, and we help for their exercises prescription. So at times when obesity patients, they have like a lot of joint issues. So that's why physical therapy is important for obese patients, because they go to the gym, they work out, but at times they don't actually see their joints have been hampered because of the weight. Yeah, so the like to joints, suppose knee, when the weight is too much, both the knees just scratch together, and then they go for like gymming and everything. But later on, they just develop arthritis at the early stages because they haven't actually done something to prevent it when they were obese. So I would suggest you to start physical therapy when you're obese and in the early stage, so that we can strengthen it up and you can go ahead with all the gym activities with the consultation of a physical therapist.
You probably do lots of exercises with people who come to you for help, but what are some of these exercises?
Well, we don't do a lot of exercises. It just depends on the condition. So a lot of people, they just need a little bit exercise, that's it. But some people, they have condition like back, knee, ankle, everything is involved. So we have to target each and every area of their body. And that's a lot of exercises. So it's just a basic, I would suggest. Like if you're sitting right now, if I have a computer job, so just, get up a little bit, like twist your spine a little bit, like do stretching exercise of your neck, because you're constantly on the computer like this, like flexing your neck, hampers your neck muscles. That's how you get ankylosing spondylitis and everything in your back because of the sitting posture. So that's how it is. Just stretch a little bit, walk, modify your table whenever you're working. And if you're standing for a longer time, just sit, lean on something, don't stand for a longer time, and go for walks in between. That will help you to modify some things rather than just hampering your joints.
Just don't sit at your computer all day.
Yeah, that is correct.
And physical therapy, I understand, also helps with proper alignment. Talk about that.
Mhm. So physical therapy, as I told you, ergonomic is one of our core health. So basically, ergonomic is when we play a major role, like I told you, like the people who are on computers. So they are in the computer lab, right? Their hands and elbows, they are literally not at 90 degrees. They're not at 90 degrees. So what they're doing is they're working at a posture which is very wrong. Like we are slouching right now, we are sitting in the computer, we're slouching like this. If we are watching TV, even older population, they're watching TV, we are slouching. That's when we are more comfortable at, like the slouching position. So that is like the bad posture, and which leads to a lot of problems. So your neck pain, your back pain, your hip pain, it starts when you do that. So it's just one of the examples of postural alignment. I suggest my patient to walk as if you own the room, just flare your chest, walk like you own the room, just, keep your head straight rather than down. So a lot of young population nowadays, they're on phone. So they keep their neck this way all the time, and their posture, you should look at it, it's just going haywire and terrible. So that's how we align them. We just tell them how to do it. We give them cues, like, you should do this, do that, how to handle your phone when you're in the phone. So you should keep your phone this way rather than this way, so that your neck is in a straight position. I know we cannot stop them from using mobiles, but then apparently we can just modify a few things so that they don't have any.
People who have been injured, people who have been in an accident. This is probably very, very difficult for them, very stressful, and they may be afraid to do the work that is necessary if they go to physical therapy. So talk about how important it is for such people who have been injured, who've been in an accident, and try to allay some of the fears that they may have.
So when they're injured, a lot of people think that, surgery is the main outcome, but apparently physical therapy works like magic for some people. So when you're injured and you go for physical therapy, some people don't need surgery. So we recover them so well, like it'll take time, but we recover them. So when you are in injury, don't wait for the injury to completely get cured. Just start physical therapy at the start stage, because essentially we need to strengthen it up, and it won't come in a week or when it's just months. It's just a matter of time. So you have to start it whenever you're injured. Just go to a physical therapist, get a reference, and we can start it then and there, and it'll literally be useful, because when you're starting at the early stage, it's not going to take much time, and it's a good recovery rate. So
Okay. Dhwani Vinod, we want to thank you for being here on Brooklyn 45. We know that you've been working as a physical therapist for a long time. And
that's true.
outside of Brooklyn as well, you've been working in another state.
Yeah, California.
In California. So you have transitioned from California to Brooklyn.
Yep.
And we want to thank you for being on Brooklyn 45. And I know that I've been hearing great things about the work that you do. So congratulations. And your patients are very happy to have you as their physical therapist. Again, thank you very much for being on Brooklyn 45.
Thank you so much for having me.
We also want to thank Judge Norma Jennings, who was telling you about the New York court system. And to you, our viewers, we thank you for watching this program. You can watch it again on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Brooklyn45TV. We invite you to support Brooklyn 45 with a gift. Partner with us. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit community television program. And when you support us with a gift, you benefit and our communities benefit as well from the information they provide. So go to our website to donate, www.brooklyn45.com. And please tell your family, your friends, your colleagues to watch Brooklyn 45 on cable TV and on YouTube and support us. Be a part of what we do. On behalf of our Brooklyn 45 team, I am Sam Taitt.
Brooklyn 45 is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we welcome your support. Check out our website, brooklyn45.com, and feel free to donate or share it with your friends and family. Have any comments or questions? Send them to our Facebook, facebook.com/Brooklyn45TV. If you have any questions or topics you think we should cover next, shoot me an email over at brooklyn45tv@gmail.com. Thank you again for watching.